Welcome everyone to GNU Presents Performance Feast, Artists in Community. Who's ready to feed your mind and nourish your heart? We seek to expand our grassroots community of connected artists by engaging in artistry-focused conversation. This series is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Tonight's special guest is Bruce A. Henry. Known as a man of great musical imagination, Bruce A. Henry is an internationally known vocalist, composer, storyteller, recording artist, and educator. Bruce teaches musical history, traditions, culture as he entertains and enraptures audiences with his vocal agility. Anchored in Chicago with strong ties to the Twin Cities, Bruce shares his expertise in musical creativity across the nation and overseas. Bruce is a singer and a band leader with a long history of stellar jazz concerts, moving R&B shows, and revered tribute performances, honoring the likes of Stevie Wonder, Jarreau, Marvin Gaye, Ray Charles, Duke Ellington, and George Gershwin. His tribute shows entertain audiences with inspired interpretations of the classics. Welcome, Bruce Henry.
Hello.
Welcome, Bruce, and GNU's Artistic Director and Performance Feast host for the evening, Mo Field. Take it away, Mo.
Hello. All right, it's great to see you. It's great to see you all out there in the world. I know that you're out there. We both know that you're out there. Bruce and I have had a great time preparing for tonight, and I'm sure you're going to have a great time. Bruce, how are you tonight?
I am fabulous from beautiful downtown Chicago. Just doing great.
That's fantastic. Well, for those of you who are new to Performance Feast, we are going to review a bunch of some classic and awesome performances that Bruce has selected tonight. We're going to talk about it deeply as artists, how it impacts us as artists, how it impacts us as people, some tips and tricks that we can take away to try and prepare ourselves to be better performers. And we're going to start off with a performance of Bruce so that you have an idea of the wonderful human being that is with us tonight. Is everybody ready? Okay, I heard a yes. I definitely heard a yes. Okay, I heard a yes from the other room. My partner is going yay, which is fantastic. So without further ado, my friends, Mr. Bruce Henry.
How can I rejoice when she's in pain? Africa will live to rise again. While the world lives on and we deny, how can we be happy while she cries? when she's in pain. Africa will live to rise again. While the world is on and we deny, how can we be happy while she cries?
Yes. Wow, Bruce, that is something else again. That is such an incredible piece of music and so powerful. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, one thing I didn't mention to you earlier is that song came from out of a dream. The refrain came from a dream. I just woke up singing it. And so, I woke up singing it. Then I sat down at the piano and I said, well, why don't you put a bridge, a C section? Why don't you do? And they said, dude, it came from out of a dream. Leave it alone.
Right? Yeah, you don't mess with it when it just comes from that subconscious place.
Yeah, you don't mess with it. And the song, one of the reasons I was excited to share this song is the connection with Yuri Bashevsky, who is the late great violin player from Russia, who
Yeah.
made his home in the Twin Cities, and just the camaraderie and connection I have with him. He's one of the few musicians that I actually stood on stage with, and I can actually there was like a translucent light connection. This is chemical free too, by the way. Just a connection between us. I could literally feel him next to me. Now, I've felt it before, but rarely. And Yuri was one of those people.
That translates. That translates. That does not surprise me at all. That there's a zone that you meet in with him, and he is so receptive. Like, what a receptive and generous musician.
Yes.
He knows how to give everything he's got and leave so much room and space for other people to change what he's doing and to change other people's vibe on stage. It's pretty spectacular.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And you're outstanding, of course. I mean,
Thank you. Thank
oh
you very
man,
much.
that was a journey. And I was thinking about it as, watching this performance. The simplicity leaves so much room for the complexity, and for the audience as an audience to think about what and reflect on. It gives me enough time to reflect on how I feel about what you're saying, what it feels like to be in the pain that you are displaying, and the hope inside of it as well. There's so much space in that. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
It's fun piece. Over the years we performed it. That's going on, I don't know, 15 years ago. I lose track of time. Uh, but that was the second time it had been performed after recording it. And now what it evolves into with different musicians, it's because of its simple form, it can be anything. And it can turn out to be a double time Santana song,
Awesome.
samba. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, and that's what it should be, like,
Yes.
where do the roots take you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. I want to now segue into another part of what you're all about that I think people need to know about, and we're going to move on to the Georgia Sea Island singers. So you
Okay.
want to set this up for us, this next piece?
Well, these are the Georgia Sea Island singers, and we have such a short format tonight. I gotta not talk too much. I'll try not to. But the Georgia Sea Island clip is about the Gullah Geechee culture and diasporic Africans who brought culture from the continent of Africa here. And I just love the region because it's an area that has, you can hear and see so many African retentions right here and off the coast of Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia, South Carolina. African retentions living and breathing. So in my music, no matter what I do, whether it's an orchestra hall, or if it's in a club or in a church, whatever it is, I try to bring some of these African retentions forward, like the idea of breaking down the audience, creating community through music. Number one for me, even in a jazz club, it's a communal performance. That's the goal. So this group here, I see that improvisation, and also the idea that so much African and African American music throughout history, dance and singing and instrumentation are woven inseparable. So they embody that for me: improvisation, community music, folk music,
The
and
organic
spirit,
nature of it. Yeah, it's spirit. I was going to say
and spirit.
this is the divine, right?
Yes, yes, and the idea that when I inform folks, like the concept behind a lot of African American music historically, and African music is that wherever there's music, the divine is present, and through your music and art, you call the divine into the moment, into the space that you are occupying, into yourself. So
Yeah, that is something that is easy to get away from when you're worried about what people think of you when you're performing,
right,
instead of letting it be an expression of how you're experiencing life.
yes,
So this is a great clip for us to show now. We're just going to go straight on over to it. And here we go.
and they're performing a ring shout.
This is a ring show.
Yes.
All right.
Now, St. Simon, it's a place that woods, river on one side, beach on the other side, and woods in between, different roads, and the old fort, and the old Spanish moss that hangs on the tree that, you know, drip down. It look like the wind blow, it look like it's blowing a blanket or something, you know. It is a beautiful place to live. And I think that it's one of the most wonderful places in the world. Moses, 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 let King Pharaoh take you. Moses, Moses, don't you let King Pharaoh take you. Oh, Moses, Moses, don't you let King Pharaoh overtake you. Then I saw my lonesome graveyard. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, I heard the chariot coming. Yeah, moaning, Lord. It was moaning, Lord. I heard the chariot coming. Oh, Lord. They said that I heard the chariot coming. They was in the summer lonesome graveyard. Oh, mother, please, mother, you let your daughter condemn you. Mother, mother, don't you let your daughter condemn you. Oh, mother, don't you let your daughter condemn you. In a summer lonesome graveyard. Adam, he hid his sin with the leaf.
No, he didn't.
Well, what make him feel a belief?
He was ashamed. You don't even much know when you sin now, but Adam know it because he was a righteous man. You born in sin. You used to what you're doing, but Adam wasn't used to that, you see.
Well, in Adam, oh, Eve, Adam in the garden picking up Eve. Oh, Eve, tell me where is Adam? Oh, Eve, well, Adam in the garden picking up Eve. Oh, picking up Eve.
Those days they put this something down on the floor and they dance around it like the buzz would dance around a cow, or their cow, a mule, or something.
Well, that's the way they feel, see, according to how they were treated. You understand me? They felt that they was nothing but an old dead cow to throw away in the woods someplace. And then...
That was fantastic. First of all, I mean, I just love how complex rhythms can come together in some really simple and organic ways, but
Yes.
and the joy, you know, it's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the ring shout, and I love the ring shout. The ring shout, was practiced all through out the South, but it is retained mostly these days in Gullah culture, Gullah Geechee culture in the Sea Islands. But it's believed that in those ring shouts, that oftentimes African Americans would do the ring shout, perform the ring shouts, whatever little free time they had, and these were responsible for African retention. So without these ring shouts, there's no blues, and without blues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they brought forward these African music distinctions, these ring shouts.
That's, that I was just, when I was watching this, I'm thinking the foundation of this, is so clean and pure. And like, this clip is from 1963. Our viewers need to know this is from 1963. So think about this in chronological time, that if it wasn't for this oral tradition being so strong, that this could have easily just disappeared.
Yes.
It's a miracle that it survived, and that it is recorded, and that it is here for us to see how it links to most of the Western musics that we enjoy in the contemporary world today. That thread is so clear.
And I like going around seeing, the history part of my job is, the question is, where are these? It's still retained. So you can find parts of it, not in its whole, but say in a Church of God in Christ, in African American tradition, you can find people dancing and worshiping in a semicircle like that with those very same rhythms.
Right.
You can find it in North Minneapolis. You can find it all over, and it's beautiful to see.
So in this way, the African American church has really actually helped preserve a lot of things and have them not be changed. Times. Yes. Yeah. Yes. In Canada, it's quite like the French Canadian and the Quebecois. The languages there are pretty much aligned to the French that existed in the 1700s that that has passed away in Europe, but is still alive because this community has actually kept it so. So it's pretty. We can't unrun our history, and it's great to have examples of exactly how far that link goes, especially I think in the African American community, because the diaspora and such.
Yes.
The work you're doing is so valuable. Anyway, I could go on and on about that.
I could talk about the ring shout forever. So it's just a great passion of mine. And I promise you one last thing about it.
Please go on.
And why I love this music so much and why it's here is because, to me, this is a direct line. If you think of like Dixieland music, this collective improvisation, this democracy around a structure, a loose structure, individuals are allowed to step out and to shine. That is a definition of the ring shout. That is one of the gifts of that democracy in musical performance that would lead to Dixie, one of the factors,
Yeah, and jazz and and blues and like the modern, like progressive blues, etc. That I love that. The democracy that's a great way of putting it. We're going to move on to an Al Jarreau clip, because Al Jarreau also. Enough said on that one. We'll talk about that on the other side. Is everybody ready for a little bit of Al Jarreau? Because I know I certainly am. All right, here we go, everybody.
And then Letter Perfect from our first album. We'd like to do do something different for you now. This is sometimes if the words and music get a little bit words and music get a little bit mixed together. You don't know quite what to say. That I want to talk about is I used to visit this girl who lived not too far from me in Milwaukee. I was working in the breweries. And I go and every morning I would walk by her house and she'd be sitting on the front, sitting out on the sitting on sewing. One morning I said, "Hey, I'd like to want to talk to you. Can you come just a little bit? Come here. I want to whisper this. Because her mother was standing over there. Whisper, listen, can you count on would you take a little bit of time? I wanted to think, could you take a little bit of time, baby? Would you take a little bit, just a little bit, wee little bit? Could you take a little bit of time? Take it like I wanted to think, and poke five, I wanted to think, poke five, I wanted to think, and poke five, I wanted to think, and poke five, I wanted to think, and poke five, I wanted to think. Stop and take a little time out with me. Well, just take five. You stop be busy day and take the time out to see that I'm alive. Although I'm going out on my way just so I can pass by each day, not a single word do say. It's a pantomime and out of time, still I know our lies out for me. Half a tingles down to my feet when your smile goes much too discreet. It said me on the way. Now wouldn't it be better not to be so polite? Well, you could offer a light. You start a little conversation now, it's alright when you take it five. Yeah.
Yeah, so we unfortunately had to cut that clip a little short because we've got so many other treats for everybody. Oh my gosh, like Al Jarreau. I saw him live in Barcelona in 1985, and it was one of the best concerts I have ever been to. It was a nice outdoor concert, and he is just so uninhibited. Like his life force comes through him all the time. I've never seen him be not genuine and not real.
Yes. And that's the exact word I would use, uninhibited. If when I was thinking about choosing this clip, that's what I was thinking about is a definition of soul is that I came up with. Actually, I didn't know I came up with it. I plagiarized myself. But
you're going to do it.
So soul is uninhibited self-expression. Uninhibited self-expression. So that's what he always meant to me, Al Jarreau's music. And also someone who has taken stock in his many gifts. I call them party instruments, the flute, the trumpet, the percussion, and the voice. At some time in his life, he took stock of all of these things he could do and master them. And so that's what I encourage my students and people that I encounter is we all have genius. I firmly believe that everyone has genius. Maybe you haven't been encouraged or found that it's important to share it. But as a vocalist, I take stock of what can I do? What are my gifts? What are the peculiar things? What are the eccentric things I can do? And I practice them so that I can call on them and be somewhat self-express, hopefully in the motto of Al Jarreau. Yeah.
Well, it's so cool to watch somebody like Al Jarreau or almost any improviser, because that is such a key thing for our performers that are watching. Taking stock, like taking an inventory of your gifts, is so important. And the things that we think look ridiculous are probably going to be the things that the people that are observing us in that moment of creating, they're going to think that those things, they're going to see those things as original gifts, as long as we have the confidence to use them. So isn't that so?
That is so true, Mo, because I've noticed just, over the years of doing this thing is so many people are not self-expressed. So they see us as heroes, that how can you do that? And I don't feel special, but they like, how can you do that? I wish I could do that. If I had $1 for every time I heard those kinds of things. So they look to us being self-expressive there because it's something they want to do. And maybe they can do, they just have never found the path or been encouraged to do and be that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And in some way, I think we have to be our own advocate to find our own genius, to be curious and exploratory in finding those things that, that we would do if we were just dancing around the living room, like cleaning on a cleaning day, those things that we passively take for granted. And I think it's important, maybe you found this too, Bruce, to have other people say, that thing there that you take for granted, that's a thing. You should investigate that. Yeah. It's important for us to be visible to people.
It is so true. That is true. And I heard someone tell me something once that it's been sticking with me too, is that one thing audiences may not know, that the difference between a skilled vocalist or an average or instrumentalist. But one thing they're geniuses at. They're geniuses at are you genuine?
Yeah.
They can tell. And I've had audiences, just like you said, I've had audiences, people encourage me to do things that I wasn't sure about because they saw it in me.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is, again, going back to what you said earlier about creating the moment with the audience too. It is now a moment that we collectively own in that community.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That we were talking earlier, and if I have time to talk a little bit about it, is when I first started performing in larger stages. So I had been singing in front of moderate-sized audiences or clubs or who knows what kind of venues. And my thing was always to, look them in the whites of their eyes, that was my thing. I can see you, I can reach you, and then, okay, now flash forward the next time I'm on a grand stage, like an orchestra hall, and it's like, hello, the front row is, hello, everybody. And it took me a few minutes actually to connect. And then I thought about a Miles Davis quote, and Miles was saying, band was having trouble. Actually, they were being heckled and harassed by an audience who didn't appreciate their change in the style of music. So they were throwing stuff on stage. And Miles, one of the percussionists, was going to actually go fight the audience. And he said, sit down, kid. There's only two vibes. That's the vibe up here and the vibe out there. And so he went on to say that first you feel it. You feel it yourself. How can I ask you to feel this to come on my journey if I'm not in tune with it, my heart space? And then the gap is bridged by having that relationship with the people on stage, genuinely enjoying the people you're on stage with. By the time you've made that connection with the people on stage, most of the time the audience is in with you on the party. But that's how I bridged the gap. Was like, wow, first be present to where I am and how this feels to me. Feels. Right. I use the word feel. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of performers, maybe many that are watching tonight, are probably know how it feels to go on stage, even before you get on stage, feeling like assuming what the audience is going to think about what you do, or being consumed by that thought. Yeah. And we don't take that time to actually, this is my experience on stage too, as a choral director, as a performer myself. I always try to take that time on stage. And I think I mentioned it last week. I always put my mother at the back of whatever auditorium or theater that I'm in. And she's just down there like, this is why I put you here. Just go, you do your thing. And I take those breaths to take that moment to think, I get to look at all these people today. I get to be in this arena, sharing this space with all these people today. I didn't start doing that. I ended up learning how to do this, but it is an acquired skill, would you not say?
Yes, it definitely is. And the encouragement of people goes a long way. And in taking that experience every time you get a chance. When I was young, I'd sing at the kitchen table. I'd sing on the corner, literally for quarters, whatever. The more positive feedback, the more experiences. But the thing is, it's like most audiences, in my experience, they want to see you succeed. It's the rare person in the audience, and we remember those people who critique us that way. We remember them. But most audiences are pulling for you. And if performers could just know that. Yeah.
And there's an introverted style of performing, an extroverted style of performing. We're going to go into a couple of things back to back here, and just check some of that out, because I think what we were just talking about now really maps on in two different styles of performer as well, on how to set that stage and how to be in that moment. Are you ready to go for the next little portion of the journey? Let's go. It's almost impossible to just like exit that and go to something right away without talking about it a little bit.
Well, a little bit. I see folks here enjoyed it too in the chat.
Yeah.
Just briefly on this one. This is a conversation that I have about mastery. So for me, mastery is not having one way to do things, but having multiple ways to do things. That comes from my jazz background. So when I see Mr. Pavarotti sing, he's practicing that introverted form of performance to me, where, it's a 1,000-yard stare.
Yes.
But as I believe it was David said, you can see the whole story in his eyes. So he's somewhere deep into the moment, the song, and the power of his focus is so strong that he can bring the entire universe in here.
It's so enticing.
That is the power of a well-held introverted performance.
Yeah. And actually the release, when he stopped singing, I often feel like the most important time on stage is when I've just finished performing and there's that space, that we share, we both, the audience and performers, rush to that moment. That's that orb that is held between us. And to see his now I can actually release, because I had to practice that little bit of restraint to give me that thrust inside the music.
Yeah. And I saw you jump when he released.
Yeah, I was like, exactly. It's like, oh, yes. And then, exactly. Yeah. But that is true. In a compelling story, when we're telling a compelling story, that there has to be something at stake for us to feel this pull, this urgency to every word, every nuance, every twist, every turn has deep meaning in it. And it's fueled by so much stuff that can't all be compressed into that one moment. I think that's what gives it its tension.
I think you're right.
Well, so now we're going to go on to an extroverted performance.
180. This is 180. This is extreme from where we just were.
This definitely is a 180 from where we just were.
So
very exciting.
The little setup, because we couldn't watch the whole thing, is it's a younger group I love called Vintage Trouble. I like them because they're just a hybrid of things. They could be an R&B band in 1957 or something, but I love their vibe. And Tyler, I think his name, but he's a master entertainer. So he starts off on stage. Okay, he gets escorted through thousands of people to the back of the stage where he's breaking it down in a completely uninhibited way.
All right, let's do this. Here we go.
Come closer. Come closer. Let them get close to me. Let them get close to me. Everybody come on. Everybody come on. Everybody come on. I want to feel it. Say closer. Say closer. All right. You've been clapping your hands and stomping your feet. I want you to sing for me now. What I want you to sing is run, baby, run. Run, baby, run. Jump, 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 run, baby, run. Run, baby, run. Now get your hands up in the air.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. Run, baby, run.
Oh.
Run to the river. I mean, talk about like a man that probably definitely took some notes from James Brown, you know, about how to be in that crowd.
Yes, 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 yes.
So now in the interest of time, because we've got 8 minutes left, let's just talk about this just a little bit before we get to, like, maybe you can get a couple more videos in. So when you're thinking about introverted and extroverted work, and especially about this particular clip, there are, what kind of techniques do you use personally? What would you tell some of the people in our audience if you want to be that out in your audience and that connected to your audience? What are some of the things that you need to let go of or that you need to foster in yourself?
Well, you need to have 8 large security people like they had.
I saw them guiding.
You didn't see, they were like
Just,
big people. That's a good question. I don't know if I even have a good answer for that. Could you restate it again for me?
Well, I noticed a couple of things. One, that the more generous he was with the crowd, the more the crowd actually took care of him. And they made sure that he was getting his way back to the stage. And even with the security guards. But, you know, knowing that you're going to take those sorts of risks or be vulnerable in a very physical way. I mean, I've never had to do that with an audience in that quite that way. I don't know if you have, but there's got to be, you know, something that you've got to keep in mind when you're willing to take those risks.
Well, yeah, that's the extreme. And I have never done that either. But for me, yes, for me, the message is that I get from him is just being extroverted, being free to put whoever he happens to be athletic and physical, so he's fully expressed that way. There are other ways to do it. I saw Paul Anka once tell stories, make stories up, and have relationships with people in the audience, personal stories like how's your grandmother, whatever it is for you. That's the extroverted version is connecting with individuals, even just looking at people, as opposed, like Pavarotti is not looking at anyone. But sometimes when I'm in an extroverted mood, I actually look at people. I actually make a gesture to people in a song. So that's right. What in that way I can express myself that way. And the way you get that is practice.
Practice personalizing the people. It's sometimes difficult with the lighting to make that connection past it. I look for the twinkling of glasses, you know, because you can usually see some sort of a reflection coming from somewhere or an exit sign. You just have to imagine like a body of people in that area and make sure I'm looking to a distance and not stopping at the gray of the lighting.
Right. And even sharing a story. People love that. Like sharing why I'm singing this song.
Being personal.
And it's something personal. And now you've got their attention. So.
Yeah, you and I talked about that a little bit in our prep for this, about, you know, the need to share, to know your why behind your doing a thing. And, you know, we have time left for one more performance.
Wow.
I think I know what I would pick.
Okay.
Do you want to go OG?
OG? Sure, that sounds good.
Okay,
OG.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go.
OG, I love it.
We're doing this. This is great. Okay, here we go, everybody. Please enjoy this incredible performance.
One Aretha Franklin.
Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired when I knew I had to face another day. Oh, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met wretched melody. You made me feel so good inside. And I just wanna be. I wanna get that man who makes me feel so.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You're muted, Mo.
Yeah, that's something, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like we were discussing the other day, like, you can't be me. You can't be me.
You can't be me. You can't be me. I love it. And that's I always ask my students, what's your motivation? What are you presenting on stage? And it's infinite. And there's no judgment on whatever it is. Are you selling the art of skill or just raw emotion or storytelling or look how beautiful I am? Whatever it is you're selling. One thing she naturally is doing is like, you can't be me.
Can't be me. And she's just owning the piano. And just drops that fur coat on.
With love. You can't be me.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, no, she just knows who she is. And actually, you know what? I think that's another part of like everything that we've seen tonight that is key for all of these performers. They know who they are. They're not just adopting like a role that they're playing, which can get you there.
Yes.
But they know something elemental about who they are to attach to what they do. So they don't have to fake being on stage. That's too much to remember.
Yes. That's so true. That's so true.
It's one step too many. Do you have some parting wisdom for us that you'd like to share with us tonight, Bruce? It's been such an honor to have you here.
Oh, yeah, parting wisdom for performance. Well, I guess it's, for me, I'll just tell you what I always tell my students. And, I don't know you all. You all might be a variety of people, well-accomplished, seasons, beginners. I'm sure that's the case. But for me, it's the study of your craft. It never ends. It never ends. And I always tell my students, because the biggest problem I have seen, the biggest obstacle I've seen are people who want to pursue art but live in their analytical mind too much. They judge themselves before they even start. And so my motto, I stole this from Weird Al Yankovic, but dare to be stupid. Dare to be stupid, because your successes will be built on your failures. So if you need an audience of one, or just believe in yourself, whatever, try out being stupid, trying new things, going places with your art.
Yes. And dare to find your genius.
Yes.
I would add to that, maybe that's where your genius.
Yes. Your genius lies in your stupidity. Yeah.
I know mine certainly does.
And I hope everybody knows, because I know there's some people are taking it literally. What I mean by being stupid is just turning off the analytical mind and being brave enough to venture into the unknown.
Yeah.
Live in the present moment, because all your genius artistic will be in the present moment. Your analytical mind will tell you before you start that it's no good. The analytical mind will tell you after you perform that that was terrible.
Right.
Interesting enough, but your genius lives in the present moment. So you might as well step on out there.
That's right. What a great, great message to leave us with. Bruce Henry, my friends, Bruce Henry, thank you so much for joining us tonight, my friend. You are such a gem, and I look forward to more time with you in the future on another one of these.
Back at you, and thank you, everybody. Thanks for your comments, and peace and love to everyone. Good luck with everything you're doing.
Thanks so much, Bruce.
Right.
And we're going to turn this now over to Magic Voice. Has a few things to say to us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We've got episode 5 next week. It's going to be a thrilling ride as well. We're so glad that you joined us. Tom, are you there for us?
Yes, thanks you, Bruce, and thank you, Mo, for a great performance feast. Let's give him a round of applause, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And please take a moment to fill out this simple poll that I'm launching right now. We will leave the performance feast up and jam out to this music for about the next 5 to 7 minutes. So thanks again, folks, for attending. We will see you all next week. This series is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Again, this has been GNU Presents Performance Feast. Feed your mind and nourish your heart. Follow the GNU on Twitter at GNU Sings, Facebook at the Great Northern Union, as well as Instagram, GNU Sings. You can also see previous episodes of Performance Feast on GNU's YouTube page.